Welcome back to the third episode of painting Barnabas. I was talking with a friend the other day. He's an art historian, so he knows about this stuff, and I was telling him what I was up to with this diary. And he said, all these teachers online, they leave out the mistakes and they edit them all away. I said, no, I'm not doing that. Part of the deal is it's a diary of how you solve the problems, and the mistakes go in and you try and sort them out. Well, here's the disclaimer. I lost a video piece, so we're going to be jumping to part way through the next episode. Not far into it, because we had already put on the panel the yellow ochre sketch of the saint, and then I mixed with the yellow ochre a tiny bit of Mars black. This is the bit you didn't see, or you won't see, and it makes it very dark because, well, black is very dark. It's sort of a very dark, greeny dark. So then I've gone over the yellow lines, starting to shape the image quite a bit. So I'm part way through that. I had done the face, all the head and part of the garments. So we catch up with it part way through that process. Then we go on to putting in the shading and then blocking in the main colours, the flesh tones and the two colours for the two garments. So let's see what happens in this episode. So you can see the dark pigment that's, as I've just said, been made with the by adding a very tiny bit of Mars black to the yellow ochre. The facial features have been finished, and just doing the hands at the moment. Once those basic outlines are in place and put in some of the folds, I'll then start to put in more shading. It's this shading that will sit underneath the base colour to form, well, to start making two shades of the colour just for starters. That's before we put in highlights. I've gone back to the face and put in some more titanium white to lighten up the shading, and then I've used a flesh tone. This is made up of yellow, golden ochre, so that's a more translucent, it's the same colour as yellow ochre and yellow oxide, but it is more translucent. And I've actually put a little bit of terra vert deep in it, and then a tiny bit of Ercolano red. So I've put on a number of quite dry coats of that mixture. Now I'm applying ultramarine blue, but I knock it back. It's a very bright colour, so I've put burnt umber with it, and it just brings it back to a more subdued tone of blue. And I use this quite a lot. I do like it If I want a really bright blue, then I just use ultramarine, which is kind of a copy or a replacement for the very expensive lapis lazuli. Been using the broad brush, but for these tiny little details I've gone for the number 3 Kolinsky. I've got quite a bit of egg in this mixture, so that because the blue and the burnt umber, they're quite strong colours, and so I like to put it on in a fairly translucent way, so that it takes a couple of coats. While you can't see that at the moment, I can still see the shading that I put underneath. Now this is a coat of raw sienna. It's actually going on very well. I must have given it a good grind with the mortar and pestle, because, well, you can see there that it's a fairly streaky paint. It's a lovely colour, but this will take a few more coats to give it good coverage. Again, using the 3 brush just to tidy up the bits for which the large 14 flat brush was just a bit too exciting. Now I've gone back to do another coat of blue. It had been given a nice good dry. This coat will just even it out and give a nice flat tone, but still being able to see the shadow underneath. Now this is the next day, and I decided that the arm on our right was just too short and needed to be lengthened, so I'm using the raw sienna to extend it, to give it a few more coats. I had a look at a couple of other icons of Christ that I have in my study here. I'll show you in a moment, to see how the artists that I used as models dealt with this problem, and well, they kind of cheated. Just have a look at this. See, not fair really. I mean, this one modelled on a Pantocrator by Aidan Hart. The arm sort of disappears off the frame, and this very old and very famous Pantocrator, which is in the St. Catherine's Monastery on Mount Sinai, again just tuck the book under Christ's arm and let the forearm disappear off the screen. Well, there you have it. Next time we look at the next episode we'll be putting in the highlights for the clothing. Thank you for watching and look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.